Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto was abandoned by Tsunade and Jiraiya. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by HeartofSmaug and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Once there was a sea deeper, emptier than any sea. I, born from chaos. Protected by the flow of silence. I the water, sea that I am. I rest in silence. Waiting for the time to come. Where vanity and sea meet, I saw truth. In the eye of truth nothing can be deceived. Man disgraced the place that I rest. As if he ruled the world. Wrath of I shall summon the winds and storms shall tear the sea. The 5 monsters that I have created each live in their own sea. Whatever encroaches on my territory I shall destroy. All shall return to chaos. Excerpt from the Ocean Hunter words of Rahab. In Wave Country, the people are enjoying their peace and prosperity after the heroic deeds of the ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village. Especially because of the words of one spiky-haired knuckle-headed genin who had an iron will that could not be so easily shaken. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. Right now Inari and his mom, Tsunami, are walking across the newly finished bridge that grandfather Tazuna had started and finished. The Great Naruto Bridge. They notice a familiar mop of spiky blonde hair wearing orange walking into Nami. Inari is quick to react and he runs to Naruto and gives him a big hug. Tsunami chuckles as she walks up to Naruto and an older man with white hair and wearing a kabuki outfit who is ogling her feminine frame. She quickly pulls out a random frying pan which scares the infamous toad sage Jiraiya, for she was like those Nara women. It magically disappears when Tsunami turns to talk to Naruto. Naruto. It's been several months since we last saw you. What do you think of the Great Naruto Bridge that Tazuna-san named after you? Asks Tsunami. Awesome, Dadabeo. I got to thank Bridge Gramps for naming the bridge after me. Although, I hardly did the most fighting on the bridge. That was Kakashi-sensei and Zabuza. Hey, so I'm on a training trip to becoming a stronger ninja. Is it alright if me and Pervy Sage stay at your place before we head out? I was planning to go see No Brows and Haku before we continue our journey. Naruto explained to Tsunami. Inari hugged his mom and jumped up and down, begging that Naruto stay at their place for a bit. Tsunami smiles at her happy boy that was no longer the depressed boy during Gato's takeover. Of course, Naruto. You know where the house is, so be sure to get there before dark. I will have dinner ready for all of us. Also my father should be home by then. He would be happy to see a familiar face from Konoha. Said Tsunami as she and Inari walked back home to prepare for tonight. Naruto and Inari talked for a bit while Jiraiya had a blank look in his eyes when he thought of the name of the Nami Bridge. When they reached the other end of the bridge, Naruto ran to the cliffside where he and Team 7 buried the legendary swordsman of the mist and his adopted son who was Naruto's first real friend. Jiraiya followed behind Naruto before he vanishes in the mists. The mist fades a bit when Naruto reaches the embedded executioner's blade. Zabuza's tombstone mark. The grave of Haku had a wooden cross with a necklace of violet flowers wrapped around it. Naruto first gives his respects to Haku before moving to the Kubikirabacho and staring at his reflection on the blade. It looks as if he were staring at someone else. Jiraiya kept his distance before slowly creeping closer. Hey No Brows. It's been several months since we kicked Gato and his thugs out of Wave. My team and I competed in the Chunin exams. Only Sasuke and I made it to the finals. Sad, I didn't make Chunin, but I am growing stronger thanks to your actions and Haku's. Naruto spots Jiraiya creeping up behind in the sword's reflection. Holding the 4th Hokage's kunai in hand. Moving quickly Naruto gets behind the Kubikirabacho as he confronts Pervy Sage. Pervy Sage. What's going on? Sorry Naruto. You may be gifted when you put your heart to it, but you still are not strong in both smarts and physical strength to fully control the Kyuubi's chakra. Jiraiya then appears behind him and places a paralyzing seal on his back, as well as another seal on his navel, where the seal holding the Kyuubi is located. Naruto is unable to speak or move as he holds onto Zabuza's blade, while Jiraiya strikes the ground with an earth jutsu before preparing to launch a Rasengan at the immobilized boy. I bet you're wondering why this is happening. Well, since dead men or half-demon in your case tell no tales, I'll tell you. You were not the only child that had the Kyuubi sealed inside them. Your twin brother, Menma, had the other half of the Kyuubi sealed into him that night the Kyuubi was somehow released. That seal I placed on you will siphon out the Biju and its chakra and get absorbed into Menma, who I believe is the true child of prophecy that will change the world. Unfortunately, you will have to die since nobody survives their Biju pulled out of them. Well, except your mother, but her excuse is that she's a full-blooded Uzumaki. Naruto is surprised that he has a twin brother and a still alive mother. But was she forced to leave him, or did she not love Naruto because she thought like most of Konoha does? Tears form in his eyes as the cliff starts to crumble with him and the graves of the Kiri ninja about to fall into the sea. The red chakra of the Kyuubi starts to appear out of the belly seal as the Kyuubi is spirited away to where Menma and Kushina are hiding. Naruto is barely alive as the chakra leaves his body, causing the paralysis seal to crumble and vanish. Naruto's eyes were half opened as Jiraiya crashed the drilling Rasengan into his heart where Sasuke pierced Naruto with a Chidori. Naruto was flung into the air before he fell to the raging sea waters below, with part of the cliffside falling with him. The toad sage leapt back and waited till the rumbling stopped. He walked over to what was left of the cliff to see if the former Jinchuriki was somehow float. He only saw bubbling water before it changed back to cliff-crashing waves. Pleased with his work done, Jiraiya went to go find a whorehouse in Nami and later head to Tsunade's house to explain how they were ambushed, with Naruto being struck by a rogue ninja before falling off a cliff. Next he would then rendezvous where Menma was and prepare him to take down Orochimaru before returning to Konoha as heroes with the last Uchiha returned. Unbeknownst to the sage, Inari had followed them and saw everything that had occurred. When the boy was sure that Jiraiya was far enough, he rushed straight home to tell his mom and grandpa everything that happened and that they should cut ties with Konoha before they betray them as well. Jiraiya would later get a quick kick in the groins before being cast out of Wave Country without any explanation or word. Wave would then send word to Spring on what the Toad Sage had done. Konoha would lose a lot of many allies and trade because of Jiraiya's foolishness. And more. Scene changes somewhere in the ocean. Naruto was at first sinking to the dark depths of the crushing waters as he still held onto the Kubikirabacho. But he was later brought to the surface of the water, barely alive. All that kept him afloat was a couple of CTURTLESAN yes, I did the classic pirate sea turtle joke, mixed with hundreds of crabs that acted as a makeshift raft as the blonde Uzumaki continued to drift out to the open sea. The sea grew darker as a storm came over him. The turtles and crabs kept him floating, but Naruto was still too weak to open his eyes, that he could only keep holding the blade close to him while listening the roaring thunder, waves, and rain. But then, Naruto could hear music. It was organ music, like from that Phantom of the Opera movie. It sounded sad, it seemed to be longing for something or someone, growing louder and louder as something sailed towards Naruto. A ship came into view, but it was not a trade ship, but a ghost ship. The most infamous one of them all, the Flying Dutchman. The ship sailed through the chaotic waves without worry or care as it swept by Naruto and his makeshift raft. Naruto then heard a shout, "Man overboard. Someone, bring the lad aboard." Ropes are dropped into the sea as the sailors slide down and grab the boy and his sword as some of the crabs cling onto his destroyed jacket and crawl aboard. Naruto still cannot see, but he feels the clammy touch of the sailors. Are they supposed to feel like that? He wonders. If he could see, Naruto would see that the crew are all men that have multiple fissure sea-like objects fused on their bodies that made them look like monsters. The crew gathered around the boy and wondering how he got there in the waters in the middle of nowhere. The organ music stops playing as the thumping of a peg leg echoes along the mossy wooden planks of the ship deck. The crew part ways as the terrifying tentacled face of Captain Davy Jones makes itself known to everyone. The captain thumps his crab-like peg leg twice to summon one of his pets. The large black and white CSERPENTA and the mini-boss in the Kraken chapter of the Ocean Hunter. Also it is interesting to note that the Pirates of the Caribbean wiki site states that Jones also had a sea serpent as a pet too. Slithers onto the ship deck and it coils itself around Naruto to get the boy to stand and face the captain of the Flying Dutchman. Naruto is taking short quick breaths as his Uzumaki genes are still healing him. Just not as fast as when he had the Kyuubi sealed inside him. Davy Jones pulls out his Kraken smoke pipe as his tentacles light a flame as the squid face leers at Naruto. Do you fear death? His octopus blowhole blows out the fire as his foul breath forces Naruto to open his fearful eyes. Do you fear that dark abyss? All your deeds laid bare, your sins punished. I can offer you an escape. But I didn't do anything wrong. I was betrayed. Thrown away like a useless ninja tool. Naruto wept at being considered an unredeemable sinner. His answer surprises Jones as he grabs the Naruto's exposed throat with his left hand crab claw and looks at the boy's ocean blue eyes. The captain's blue eyes are filled with understanding as he sees the boy's suffering and betrayal in his eyes. He gives a mirthful laugh as the crew laughs with him. What fortunate circumstance be this? What is your name, boy? The captain asks in a commanding tone as his snake pet hisses at the boy's face. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, Captain sir. Naruto blurts out. Not wanting to disrespect the ghost captain. The crew gasps in awe at a Uzumaki who did not have the signature red hair. One of the crewmen steps forward to look at the boy. His skin is pale with several barnacles and red coral sticking out of his head, the rest of his long red hair fell to his mid-back. His left hand is the nose of a razor swordfish. Are you truly a member of the Uzumaki clan? Do you know of my sister, Kushina? Is she alive after Uzushio fell? The man bombarded Naruto with questions. I was never told that I had a clan in Konoha. I don't know Kushina. And what is Uzashio and how did it fall? Naruto asked confusingly. What is Konoha teaching ninja in the academy these days? Wondered the man. Enough, Master Arashi. It appears the boy is more than what he seems. How was he found, men? He was on a raft made from live sea turtles and crabs, Captain. A hammerhead shark crew member, Makus, informed Davy Jones. The mention of crabs causes the captain to stiffen as he slowly turns to see another person was on his ship. A woman. His lover and goddess, Calypso. Calypso Jones spoke with a surprised and painful look on his tentacle face. "My sweet, it be too long," said Calypso to her lover in her Tia Dalma form. The captain of the Dutchman quickly scowled his expression and spoke in a commanding tone. "What is your purpose here?" "Him." Calypso points to Naruto as the sea serpent uncoils around him to bow to the goddess of the seas. "You have a touch of destiny about you. Naruto Uzumaki. You know me? Do you know my parents and if they really loved me?" Naruto asked, hoping to get a true answer than just taking the word of pervy sage. "I come." Calypso guides Naruto to look out into the ocean that had suddenly stopped churning and the storm ceased. Arashi followed behind to also see what his supposed family member went through. Pointing into the waters, Calypso used her power to create a circular mirror that showed Naruto and the crew things that were unaware. Calypso spoke as Naruto watched a beautiful girl with straight red hair being saved by a young man that looked like a younger version of the fourth Hokage. It began with two ninjas from different lands. Kushina, princess of the Uzumaki clan that ruled the islands of Uzashio. Strong, clever, untamable, bearer of terrors like the whirlpools that surround Yuzu. And Minato, the yellow flash and soon fourth Hokage of the Hidden Leaf. Bright, quick, and swift like lightning in the wind. They fell in love, and from that love came life. The water mirror then showed a baby Naruto and Menma being born. Soon the happy scene changed to one of horror and anger. But it was not to be. A wielder of the Sharingan, heir to the will of Madara, had stolen away the mother in order to claim Madara's prize. The strongest Biju that been kept safe with the Uzumaki for many years. The Uchiha forced the nine-tailed fox to lay waste to Konoha and her people. The yellow flash fought and broke the Uchiha's hold on the Biju and drove him away. Fearing the danger should the Uchiha ever return, he summoned Shinigami and split Kyuubi in two. Sealing both away into his own twin sons. The mother still lived and was pained to see her children carry such a burden. But the Hokage vowed that both would be heroes to the survivors of Konoha. The mother loved her children. The father loved him village more. And so, the father's teacher, the toad sage Jiraiya, took the mother and one of her children away until the time be right. While the other son was to be the sacrifice to the fiery rage of the leaf. As Calypso said these words, Naruto saw the full version of the Kyuubi attack. How the Kyuubi was forced against its will to attack Konoha and be sealed again. He also saw Pervy Sage grab Menma and his unconscious mother, while Jiji Saratobi picked baby Naruto up to be taken to the cage tower. FLASHBACK mirror now shows what is being said during the council meeting 13 years ago. The demon must die. Our beloved fourth was killed because of the beast that is now trapped inside a weak mortal frame. We should put an end to it, now. Exclaimed a civilian council member with many agreeing with him for the child's death. The child is our new Jinchuriki. Jiraiya has placed Kushina and the fourth son somewhere safe until she and the child are strong enough to return. We must keep the notion that we still have the Kyuubi until Jiraiya has trained Menma to control the chakra he has inside him. Hiruzen remarked to try and calm the council down. That is when the toad sage appeared jumping through the window and into the room. "Jiraiya, are Kushina and Menma Namek safe?" the third Hokage asked. "Hi. I just finished putting a loyalty seal on Kushina so she can put all her effort on Menma and not be distracted by Naruto. I will just need time to create a seal that will remove the Kyuubi chakra half and the boy to go to Menma so he can have full access to the Kyuubi's power. We just got to keep Naruto here until Menma is strong enough to handle accepting the rest of the demon's chakra," Jiraiya explained to Hiruzen and the council. "But what if the demon brat learns of his Uzumaki heritage? Or he decides to grow strong in order to break free from Konoha? We need to keep him contained. Let me take him to be trained in my route, Saratobi," said the advisor Danzo. "No, my friend. Jinchuriki need their emotions to full access the Biju's chakra. We only need him to have some access to it so that Minato's son can fully access the Kyuubi when Jiraiya finishes his seal work." Hiruzen denies Danzo, who takes it begrudgingly. As for the issue of the Uzumaki clan being a part of Konoha's history, we remove it. Plain and simple. We can't let our people think we are backstabbers after lying to Tsunade and Kushina that we had a hand in Uzashio's downfall," said Haruna. "Are you crazy? Konoha is alive and growing thanks to Kushina's clan. It was even thanks to the first's marriage to Mito Uzumaki that we even have a defining symbol for our village. You would spit on the help of the Senju and the Uzumaki just to keep up this charade that we are a peace-preaching village," exclaimed Makoto Uchiha, one of Kushina's true friends. Her husband Fugaku sternly looks at her and forces her to stand down. Enough. As it stands, the boy can't know about the Uzumaki clan while he is alive. With the remnants of those sea foreigners scattered to extinction, no one can teach him. When Kushina and Menman Amicus return to the village, then we will share how Konoha once had an alliance with them, while Minato's child claims the inheritance of both his father and the fallen clan. Hiruzen proclaims, getting nods of agreement from many of the counselors, while Makoto and Hitomi Hyuga scowled silently. "What about the demon brat, Naruto? How will he be raised?" asked Hiashi. "We shall place him in the orphanage. Then when he turns 6, the orphanage will kick him out and the citizens can get their pounds of meat owed by the Kyuubi. But not too much, or the seal could be undone. My Anbu and I will save him at the last moments so he can look to me as a lifeline on how staying in Konoha is his best choice. No one can tell the boy of his burden or tell their children. Any who do so will be sent to a Biki." Agreed. The third Hokage looked and saw that most of the shinobi and civilian council agreed to the terms. That didn't mean some could get away with letting the future attacks get out of hand. Flashback end. Naruto was quiet for several moments after the goddess cancelled her magic. He could not believe that everything he knew was a lie. But was happy that he knew that Granny Tsunade and Kushina did not purposefully abandon him. But his mom was currently trapped by a seal, like the Kyuubi that was previously sealed in Naruto. Naruto gazed into the sky as the rain came pouring down again. As it touches his face for several seconds, Naruto flares his chakra and gives a great cry to the heavens and seas. Not knowing that something would answer back after the drumming thunder and flashes of lightning. Arashi goes to give his nephew a hug. Easing Naruto's burden on what he had learned. "Naruto, I promise that you will not be alone anymore. Your mother still loves you. We just simply need to free her from Konoha's clutches before it's too late. I may be bound to the Dutchman, but I can still teach you a few things, while also sharing with you the secrets of the Uzumaki clan that are yours to claim." "And what would the boy give in return for such an act of charity?" asked Davy Jones. Naruto thought about it and he came up with an idea when he looked at Zabuza's blade. "For my uncle's freedom from you and the Dutchman, I will bring you a Rouge ninja to take his place." "Who would you send to serve the mast for the next 100 years?" the captain asked curiously. "Isam Hashigaki. The monster of the hidden mists and current member of the Akatsuki that are now hunting the Jinchuriki and the Biju they contain within them," Naruto answered. Jones was livid when he heard Kisam's name. "He has a debt to pay, Kisam. I offered to make him be the strongest swordsman of the mist for 10 years. That was the agreement. Find him and bring him to me. He shall not forestall my judgment." Suddenly, the sea began to moan and churn as something rose from the depths. A large dark humanoid creature as large as 2 flying Dutchmans with a large red eye atop its forehead, wielding a trident made of coral and metalan, the trident of Poseidon from POTC Dead Men Tell No Tales, swam near the ship. Its eyes gazed upon Naruto before it turned to look at Calypso who walked forward without fear and gently caressed its long hair like fins. "My child, you've come for me? Or him?" she asks as it once again turned to look at Naruto who was scared at first, yet now showed no fear with the Kubikirabacho strapped to his back. "This be my child, Rahaban, final boss and ocean hunter. Lord and caretaker of the seas." Calypso introduces to everyone. "Your child of man. Half land, half sea. Your cry of wrath summoned me. Do you wish to encroach on my territory or something more?" Rahab spoke in an old deep voice and accent. "Neither, I come to warn you. Evil men have and still are defiling the lands, and soon, their wickedness shall pollute the seas. I need help in saving the Biju from their fates, while also punishing man for their pride. Will you help me?" Naruto bowed in respect and hoped that his pleas shall be answered. Rahab peered into the boy touched by destiny and stood silent. Chapter 2. Tsunade was staring out the window of the Hokage's office. 7 years have passed since Jiraiya took Naruto to go on a 3-year training trip, only to come back a year early with Kushina and her other son, Menma. Along with the traitor Sasuke Uchiha, who was later bailed from prison by the stupid counselors to continue his training with Kakashi. She had to beat the information out of the pervert to find out what had happened to Naruto. Flashback Hokage's office. "I won't ask again, Jiraiya. What happened to Naruto?" Tsunade commanded as she prepared to use her Super Senju strength to bash the pervert's head. Jiraiya boy said that Naruto was ambushed by bandits and died falling off a cliff in Wave Country, Lady Tsunade. The old Toad Fugasaku explained from what Jiraiya told them when Naruto's name suddenly was crossed off the Toad contract. Then Jiraiya can kindly explain why the lands of Wave and Spring decided to send me letters a few months after he left. Saying that they have resigned their trading with Konoha because a witness in Wave saw Jiraiya shoving a Rasengan into Naruto and let him fall off a cliff into the sea. Tsunade then pulled out the old letters to Jiraiya and the Toad Elder at what he had done. "You lied to us, Jiraiya boy. The child could have been great, especially for the prophecy the great Toad Sage spoke of years ago." The old bearded toad scolded Jiraiya as he smacked him with his cane. "The prophecy spoke of one child, old Toad Fugasaku. I believe that child to be Menma. He now holds all the Kyuubi's chakra since Naruto had died. Menma will be our savior against all of Konoha's enemies. He even brought back the Uchiha, where the other brat had failed to do." Jiraiya tried to convince Tsunade and Fugasaku. "You and your stupid prophecy." Tsunade cries as she punches the super perv out the window, sending him flying into the ladies' side of Konoha's hot springs resort. "Forgive us, Lady Tsunade. We did not realize that Jiraiya boy would go to such lengths to ensure the prophecy's fruition. We thought it would motivate him better at being a true sage." Fugasaku bowed in shame at their involvement at Naruto's demise. "Don't be down on yourself, old Toad Fugasaku. I will become a great sage so that no one will ever be hurt again like the Kyuubi did to Konoha years ago." The blonde twin Menma proclaimed. The only thing that made him different from Naruto is that he didn't have the whisker marks on his face. "We shall see, Menma boy. However, Jiraiya will be punished for his actions. We will only help when Konoha is in extreme danger. Don't summon us for any other reason, except maybe to talk." Fugasaku warned before he went back to the Toad Summon's realm of Mount Myaboku. Tsunade looked at Kushina who stood silent in the corner. She made no remark on her other son, but only could be seen shedding several tears. Still under the effects of the ceilings placed on her by Jiraiya. The moment was interrupted when music was heard in the village plaza. Tsunade and Menma looked out the window to see a foreign woman wearing a straw hat next to a transportable shopping cart where a music box was playing an eerie tune and Tia Dalma when she is in Singapore and at World's End. Tsunade, Kushina and Menma walked out of the Hokage Tower and over to the woman's stall where she was gathering a crowd with her music and merchandise. "Welcome to Konoha, stranger. What's your name and why are you selling here instead of at the marketplace?" Tsunade asked. "That Tsunade Haim is Tia Dalma. One of my old contacts from my spy network," Jiraiya explained to them. Having magically appeared but with bumps and bruises on his head and face. "I always knew the wind would blow you back to me one day," Tia Dalma said as she strode toward Jiraiya. Jiraiya grinned until she picked the pervert's ear and began to pull. "You owe me for the item I lent you. Where is me compass?" Tia Dalma demanded. Ow, I lost it. 3 years ago while on a ship to Kumo where my agent and I were attacked by Kumo ninja and it fell into the ocean. Otherwise, I would have used it to find Tsunade after the Otosuna invasion on Konoha," Jiraiya quickly explained. "What's so special about a compass, Jiraiya-sensei?" asked Menma. "It has the unique ability to not point north but to the thing the wielder wants most," said the pervert after Tia Dalma let go of his ear. "You have betrayed the compass, Jiraiya. It'd be a bad thing for you," the merchant woman warned. She then noticed that Jiraiya had bindings covering his right palm. "Let me see your hand." Jiraiya paled at the mention of that and extended his left hand. But a quick glance from Tia Dalma, he gave her his right hand. Removing his bandages, the Hokage and the rest of the crowd looked to see what was hidden on the Toad Sage's hand. What they saw scared the crowd and bewildered Tsunade at seeing Jiraiya had caught something like leprosy. A large black spot was leached onto the palm of his hand. "You be cursed, Jiraiya. After betraying me compass, the black spot is upon you. The black spot is a sign of death to any who be at sea. Land is where you are safe, Jiraiya. So you must carry land with you." Tia Dalma goes to her cart and pulls out a large jar filled with sand as she hands it to him. "Is this really going to help me, Dalma-chan?" asked a skeptic mega pervert. "If you don't want it, give it back." "And no. I'll keep it." Jiraiya clutches to the jar like it was his new special edition of Icha Icha Paradise. Tia Dalma then prepares to take her cart and travel to the next village to trade. However, she is stopped near the gate by Kushina of all people. Surprising Jiraiya, Tsunade and Menma who was getting irritated after the Hokage kept mentioning his worthless twin brother. "Wait. Before you go, do you have anything that can tell me about my son, Naruto? If his soul is at rest and with my ancestors. I never meant to abandon him and wished to tell him that." She spoke with tears forming again in her eyes from grief for her loss and pain from the Jiraiya's seal. Tia Dalma smiles as she opens her hand. "For the answers that you seek, payment is required." Kushina is surprised by this since she is not carrying her money pouch with her. However, she pulls out a necklace that holds the friendship ring she and Makoto Uchiha had made when they were both worked together and became known as the duo Kunoichi. The Red Death and the Blue Flame. She is sad to lose it, but her strong need to put her son's soul at rest was even stronger. She hands the necklace to the woman who then examines the ring. An item be made from a friend's love. The payment is fair. She pockets the ring away and pulls out a crystal necklace. Tsunade recognizes it as her grandfather's necklace she gave to Naruto. "Where did you get that?" Tsunade asked fervently. "The man who go by the name Ryanami. A man of the sea. A great sailor and one who be called Sea Lord of Wave Country. He finds it on the body of your child as he was drifted out to sea. Along with one of the weapons of the 7 swordsmen of the mists. The child barely drew breath, but he made Ryanami promise to help him mother and warn against the coming storms. The child gave a mighty cry to the gods of the heavens and seas before drawing his last breath. The sailor came to me and gave me the necklace to give to you." She placed the necklace around Kushina's neck before Teodalma drew her in close to whisper something in her ear. When the merchant's hand left the Uzumaki's neck, the Jiraiya's seal was washed away, causing Kushina to keel over and collapse to the ground. Tsunade, Shizune, Jiraiya and Menma went to help pick Kushina up, while Jiraiya turned to stare at the witch. "What did you do to her?" he demanded to know. "She be free from her imprisonment. Soon, the chosen of the 7 seas will come to end the terror of the red clouds, and the balance of land and sea shall be restored. No man has power to command destiny, only choose it for himself. Remember that, Jiraiya. Remember that." Teodalma speaks in a haunting voice as she enters her cart as the music slows down. When it stopped, the cart explodes, leaving nothing behind. But no body was found as the winds blew as if they were laughing, and clouds appeared in the sky. Rain came pouring down as the 2 shocked sages couldn't comprehend on what just happened. Kushina came too, as the years of mental confinement had taken a toll on her mind. She cried to the heavens, and she hugged Tsunade with all the strength she had in her. Flashback end. After that, Kushina ripped Jiraiya a new one. With Tsunade's help. She would then move out of her late husband's compound, taking with her all items related to the Uzumaki clan, and would for the next several years stay at the Senju compound with Tsunade and Shizune. Menma decided to not go with his mother and stay at the Namikaze compound, taking up his father's inheritance and continue learning from Jiraiya, the toads, and his father's notes. Menma still believed that his father and brother's sacrifices were worth the effort and that he would fulfill his destiny as the child of prophecy by protecting Konoha village like his father and Sensei Jiraiya would want him to. Now, Konoha was preparing for war against Odo, Iwa, and Kumo. Although Jiraiya was able to subdue and kill their traitorous teammate, Orochimaru. The snake second in command, Kabuto took the reins of Odo and prepared to take vengeance for his master's death. Iwa and Kumo were happy to jump aboard at taking Konoha off its high horse. The rest of the elemental nations were neutral to the upcoming war while also dealing with their affairs. The Akatsuki had captured 7 of the 9 Biju, with Gaara surviving his Biju leaving his body, while Kumo's remaining Jinchuriki was in hiding. Also, the nations were getting updates in the bingo book on new high-class individuals, calling themselves the 7 Sea Lords that now control the seas and water trade routes. With Konoha's former alliances broken and leaving them on their own, it was suggested by the council that they call on the help of one of these Sea Lords. Tsunade warned that Konoha was already in debt to the Fire Daimyo for losing many trading partners, they needed to kindly coerce the Sea Lord that they can pay them back for their services, while ensuring Konoha's survival. Tsunade picked Kushina Uzumaki, who got back into shape with her sword, chakra chains, ninjutsu, and fuinjutsu to make a comeback for this crucial mission. Jiraiya and his apprentice, Menma Namikaze, would also join the mission to Hot Springs Country to ensure Ryanami's cooperation. Along with Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Menma's girlfriend Hinata Hyuga. The Slug Sage promptly hoped that Jiraiya, Menma, Sasuke, Sakura or Danzo's not-so-secret route would not make a mess of things. Konoha might be on its last legs, and Tsunade was quietly preparing to abandon ship if the situation came to it. She would not go down with a corrupt village that refused to clean up its act, even with her having taken lead. Scene CHANGE Hot Spring Country Coastline Bathhouse. Kushina, Hinata, and Sakura were wrapped in bathhouse towels that covered their bodies while exposing most of their legs after the bathhouse guards took their clothes and their gear. Jiraiya was enjoying seeing the hot girls and MILFs figures while only wearing a short towel around his waist. Menma and Sasuke were not with them because the perverted toad had sent the two to retrieve a certain artifact that could help Konoha if things should go sour. The ladies looked around to see a lot of men in tubs of healing waters, staring at them wearily as if they were expecting an ambush. Hinata squeaked when seeing several men having barnacles on their faces and upper bodies. The large bare-chested guard with an elaborate tattooed back led the Leaf Ninja group to the end of the room where steam was being produced beneath the vented floors. Two women with long hair kept in buns held by steel chopstick pins and wearing their black attendant oriental robes moved to the sides of the man whose back was facing the Konoha group. The attendants are the Tsuchi twins, Lian and Park Tsuchi. The older sisters of the deceased sound ninja, Kin Tsuchi. Deadly assassins and present attendants, bodyguards and lovers to the Sea Lord that the Konoha ninja were about to meet. The Sea Lord had the Executioner's blade, the former weapon of the Demon of the Mists, strapped to his back. He turned to show he wore black robes layered with a shoulder guard and an armor-plated belt. Both the guard and belt were decorated with blue dragons and aquamarine gemstonesan. Fun fact, the aquamarine March birthstone was used as talismans to keep sailors safe at sea. His fingernails were long and shaped like dragon claws, his skin was tanned after sailing so much. But his most distinguishing features were the bandage wrappings covering half his face, like Zabuza to Sakura, his piercing blue eyes, and short spiky hair that was red as Kushina's, but with golden tips at the ends. This was Ryanami, the dragon of the waves and mist sea lord of wave country, and currently the land of hot waters. Captain of the Chimera and look up Sinbad's ship from DreamWorks Sinbad movie. Kushina and Jiraiya bowed in respect to Ryanami with the two Kunoichi following their example. Toad Sage Jiraiya, Princess Kushina of the Uzumaki. Welcome to the land of steam. The Sea Lord takes a whiff of the air through his bandages. More steam. He informs Lian, who pulls a rock tied to some string to inform the bellow workers down below to send more steam. Not knowing that the workers were subdued by Root Ninja led by Sai. I understand that you have a request for me? Questioned the suspicious captain. More of a proposal, Ryanami-sama. My companions and I have been sent by the Hokage and the Konoha Council to ask for your aid in a venture with promise for financial satisfaction or anything that you'd require. Jiraiya spoke for the rest of the group. It's an odd coincidence then. Because you happen to not have anything better to do and are in need of some action to relieve your boredom. Kushina snarked back. Scaring Jiraiya, who wished she could not be her true self anymore. No, because earlier today my old friend, Cao Feng, had his temple broken into by two thieves that tried to make off with his family's most prized possession. Ryanami pulled out a rolled-up map that he kept safe in a seal on his arm that was hidden in his long sleeves. The legendary Mao Kun map. Navigational charts, the route to the farthest gate. Wouldn't it be amazing if this venture of yours took you to the world beyond this one? It would certainly be a great adventure to write a story on. Laughed Jiraiya, who was sweating nervously, but the steam and heat of the bathhouse hid his worries. Ryanami puts the map back into his sleeve and seal before narrowing his eyes at the infamous mega-pervert. He gives a hand signal as his men pull out two bodies who are now gasping for breath after being submerged for so long, while their hands were bound by seals and ropes wrapped around 3-feet-long poles. It is Menma and Sasuke. These are the thieves. Are their faces familiar to any of you? Jiraiya, Kushina, Sakura and Hinata shook their heads in denial. Kushina furiously wondering why Jiraiya would send them to steal charts that were not a part of this mission that she was made aware of. Ryanami pulls out the Kubikirabacho from his back and aims for both the men's necks. Then I guess they have no further need of their heads. He was stopped when Sakura and Hinata sputtered that he'd not kill them, blowing their cover. Ryanami keeps the blade in his hand as he walks in a stalking manner in front of them. You come into my city and you betray my hospitality. Lord Ryanami, I assure that I had no idea was as far as Jiraiya could say. That they would get caught. Some of the men began to surround them as Ryanami went back to settle in his steam bath. You intend to attempt a voyage to the land of the dead, Davy Jones' locker. But I cannot help but wonder what is it that you seek to bring back to the world of the living. My father, Minato Namikaze, and the third Hokage, here is in Sarutobi. Menma proclaimed, unashamed that he had messed with Jiraiya's and the council's plans. Ryanami frowned as he walked over to a vacant tub filled with water. The only reason I would have the god of shinobi return from the land of the dead is so I can send him back myself. He yelled as he sliced the tub in two. Splashing water everywhere as it seeped through the crevices of the wooden floor. What did Sarutobi-sensei do to you? Asked a bewildered Jiraiya. He robbed me of my family. And now you wish to have me work with him and the Yellow Flash to fight your war. It's true that the 7 Sea Lords are feared by all the great hidden villages. But what can we offer? What can one village do against 2 nations, a small country and a group of terrorists that are bent on claiming all Biju for themselves in order to unleash a greater threat? His words stunned the group as he knew what the Akatsuki were planning when Jiraiya could not figure out with his entire spy network. Even when he learned that Nagato and Konan, 2 of his former students that he believed to be dead, oversaw it along with a masked Uchiha calling himself Madara. You can fight. Kushina walked forward with Jiraiya trying to stop her. But she shook him off. You are Ryanami, dragon of the waves and mists. You command an age of exploration where bold captains sail treacherous waters. Where waves aren't measured in feet but as increments of fear and those who pass the tests become legends. Yet you would cower in your bathhouse while the few I do care for are subject to the coming horrors of war. Ryanami and everyone else were stunned by the princess's words. The Sea Lord caressed Kushina's chin as his clawed nails dug in a little before he gave a walking examination around her. She blushed at his quick look at her, while Menma frowned at someone looking at his mom, that way as Ryanami then settled back to his steam bath, where Park Tsuchi had his chair ready for him to sit down in. Kushina Uzumaki. There is more to you than meets the eye, isn't there? And I can't help but want to learn more about you very well. I will have you sail with me on the Chimera to World's End. As a show of my appreciation, enjoy the pleasure of seeing my brides dance to your amusement." Ryanami clapped his hands as the Tsuchi twin sat at his chair sides while he twirled his blade within his fingers. The bathhouse men cheered as music began to play as steam covered one of the doors of the room. Who the Konoha ninja saw come out of the fog made them widen their eyes and their mouths gaped open in shock and confusion at seeing the dancer. Especially Kushina, Sasuke, and a hinged Itachi Uchiha who was with Kisame to collect Menma and the Kyuubi. The young woman with long straight flowing obsidian hair that fell to her lower back let drops of moisture fly into the air as she danced. She had onyx black eyes, with fair perfect skin that went with her curvaceous figure as she swayed her hips and danced her way into the center of the room. She wore a black and blue harem bra with a matching black long skirt that showed off her long slender built legs and a black choker necklace that had a string connected to her right arm bracelet. It was Kushina's best friend and Sasuke's and Itachi's mother, Mikoto Uchiha and, inspired by Rocky Ace illustration Rocky Ace art see Mikoto Uchiha 816,408,832. Mikoto was brought back from the dead by Calypso, using Kushina's friendship ring to bring her back healthy and alive. She vowed to stay by Naruto's side, who is secretly Ryanami, and she trained while getting to know Naruto on a deeper level. Enough that she became one of his lovers. Naruto knew that the Konoha shinobi seeing Mikoto alive would amuse him and his men as he felt the killer intent seething from the male Uchihas in the room. Naruto's training with Arashi's clone, since he could not fully leave the Dutchman, and Naruto's shadow clones, had unlocked Naruto's Uzumaki genes. Changing most of his hair color and enhancing his sensor abilities that could have been amplified if the Kyuubi was still sealed inside him. He now was a master in wind and water ninjutsu, as well as recreating the ice bloodline in honor of his friend Haku. He also is a master of Kinjutsu, Taijutsu, and Fuinjutsu, while also having the ability to be immune to Genjutsu thanks to his training. His eyes gleamed as he spotted a bare-chested man with scars along his face, but the tattoos on his shoulders and arm were bleeding. Which they shouldn't be. When the music died and the former matron of the Uchiha clan finished her dance, the crowd cheered in applause as she gave a bow with a smile on her face. She then walked up to Naruto and gave him a kiss on his bandage-covered cheeks, irritating Sasuke and causing Kushina to blush that her best friend had gotten herself a better man than Fugaku. Naruto then stood up from his chair and had the twins and Mikoto stand close to him as he gave hidden signals to them so that they'd prepare for the upcoming ambush. "I trust that you have been entertained. If you wish to join my crew aboard the Chimera, please do not fight what happens next." Weapons. Many of the bathhouse men pulled out their weapons from their tubs as Naruto twirled his blade one-handed and his women pulled out their weapons. Lian and Park pulled out their steel chopsticks as their hair fell to their lower backs, having them ponytailed near the ends in honor of their deceased younger sister. Mikoto's bracelet and string disappeared and she pulled out from the smoke her signature katana, the Kurikaran blue exorcist Ren sword. "Ryanami, I assure that we mean you and your men no harm," Jiraiya exclaimed when Root appeared, protecting the Leaf Nin, while some killed those that held Menma and Sasuke captive as the two clan heirs joined in the protective circle. Kushina was not happy at seeing Danzo's drones here. But they did bring back Kushina's and the others their gear. Not knowing that one of them placed a seal on her clothing so that Danzo could eavesdrop in. After Naruto and his women let the Konoha ninja change, he grabbed the fake man that was spying on them and held him in the executioner's blade's execution circle. "Drop your weapons, or I kill your man," he commanded the Root and Leaf group. Jiraiya and Kushina did not know the spy, and the Toad replied, "Kill him, he's not one of ours. He belongs with us." Itachi replied, releasing his henge and Kisame slashing several guards before standing between Ryanami and the members of Konoha. The rest of Ryanami's men had fled out the back. Sasuke was furious to see his family murderer here, while Mikoto looked sad at her older son's choices in life. Naruto used his ice bloodline to freeze the spy solid, who revealed itself to be a white Zetsu clone, before he shattered the spy into a million pieces. He frowned at seeing Itachi here, but was very happy that the monster of the mists finally showed himself. The Kiri swordsman betrayer did not know that the bathhouse was built on top of a deep section of the shoreline of the seacoast. "We are here for the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Please allow us to take him with us," Itachi politely asked. "Come on, Itachi. I wanted to test my mettle against the dragon," Kisame complained as he gave his shark-like grin. "Itachi. I am now stronger than when we last met. This time for sure I will kill you," Sasuke declared as prepared a Chidori to pierce his brother's empty heart. "Sasuke, what your brother did was to keep the peace in Konoha. I wish that he and those involved had spared the women and children. But knowing Danzo, he would not let anyone steal his growing power until he claimed the Hokage's seat." Mikoto spoke in a calm voice that surprised everyone now that they knew that this was really Mikoto Uchiha. instigating Sasuke to cancel his jutsu. Lothario Itachi tried to speak. But Mikoto lovingly smiled at her older son, which made Sasuke angrier that she would not avenge her clan. I know, Itachi. You were put in a difficult position ever since Iritobi and the village made Naruto's life unbearable. You only wanted to help Konoha in removing some of its corruption so that the will of fire could burn bright and true again. However, the ones in charge of the village only let their greed and pride grow as they milked at our sacrifice for Konoha. Turning Sasuke into the once loving son and your brother into a savage beast bent on vengeance and only fueled by hatred. You should have made it clear that love was the only way to save our clan and himself. Never. I don't need love in order to restore the Uchiha clan. After I kill Itachi, I'm going to kill you, mother. I could never love a weak woman that would forsake being a warrior over a housewife and now a slut. Father was the only family I ever needed. Sasuke seethed to her, seeing her heartbroken face at his declaration. Itachi was now showing an angry look in his eyes at his little brother's rant. Wow, and here I thought my family was messed up. Snarked Kisame. What do you say, Ryanami, let these tree huggers have their lovers spat while we fight to show who is the greatest of the swordsmen of the mists. Samahata is anxious to taste your chakra. The sentient sword growls in glee. Unfortunately for you, you have another date, Kisame. Naruto then shows his left arm that has a kraken tattoo wrapped around it. Smearing blood onto the mark using his clawed nails, Naruto summons the one person that Kisame was not anxious to see. Out of the smoke, the infamous devil of the seas stood before the Akatsuki and the Konoha shinobi. Kisame tried to make a run for it, but his feet were coated in ice chakra, courtesy of Naruto. Mikoto then pulled out her blade as blue flames danced along it and she cut off the arm holding Samahata as well as the sealed summoning scroll for the shark summons. Davy Jones held the shark man in his crabby claw as Kisame squirmed in his hold while also feeling the burning pain of his burnt stub that once held his favored hand. Ahoy there, Kisame. You have a department to pay. Chapter 3. J. Jones. H. How are you on dry land? Why you can't be here unless Kisame mumbled while still being held in the captain of the Flying Dutchman's clutches. Foolish Kisame. This bathhouse is built atop of the sea. And as you sure well know, I am the sea. Davy Jones proclaimed cruelly as Itachi could only step back and not get in between the devil and his contract. The shinobi of the Leaf Village were shocked and scared at seeing a ghost story of a sea lord that was skeptically written in the bingo books right in front of them. Samahata feared Jones that had left Kisame and was comforted by the massaging touches of the Tsuchi twins. Who later to be given to a more worthy wielder, along with the shark summon scroll that Lian held after removing it from the severed arm. Now what shall be your punishment, 100 years aboard the Dutchman or spend an eternity in me locker? Will ye serve? Asked the tentacled man. Kisame spits defiantly into Davy Jones' face and smirks at his mutinous action against the Sea Lord. Jones frowns before smiling wickedly as he lets his tentacled beard touch the shark man's skin before it crept up to his face. Kisame squirmed and tried to escape his fate while baring his shark teeth to try and bite at the tentacles creeping all over his face. A tentacle pokes through and destroys his left eye while the end pops out of his right nostril. Several wriggle inside his gills, making him suffocate as he was forced to open his mouth wide without retaliation as other tentacles slithered down his throat. The torture of Davy Jones continued for several seconds until Kisame stopped moving and his neck broke under the quick motion of the immortal pirate. Davy Jones let the body of the former monster of the mists fall as he let his crab-like leg make a large thumping sound that summoned his favorite pet. Large tentacles of the one of the 7 monsters of the deep, the Kraken, broke away a wall of the bathhouse as the Flying Dutchman could be seen outside with cannons ready to fire. The tentacle of the beast wraps around Kisame's body as it pulls under the floorboards into the open mouth of the Kraken that the leaf could barely see in the bubbling waters. Jones turned to Naruto with a satisfied look plastered on his octopus face. You have fulfilled your end of the bargain, boy. You can have Master Arashi. Our debt is settled. Thank you, Gigi Jones. Naruto thanked his new grandfather figure. Suddenly, some of the Root agents attacked Jones by stabbing him in the chest. While he was distracted, 3 other Root had their weapons out as they were ordered to target Mikoto Uchiha. Kushina stepped between Mikoto and Root as she faced the drones of Danzo. Stand down. Why are you attacking my friend? Commanded Kushina. For the good of the Leaf, we have been ordered to eliminate Mikoto Uchiha for revealing secrets of the Leaf Village. She must be silenced and executed for her betrayal and all those she has shared her secrets with. Sai spoke in an emotionless tone. Kushina was about to pull out her sword when Jiraiya restrained her and jumped back behind the Root agents. The Rootin slowly creeped towards Mikoto and her lover. Davy Jones was laughing as he fought the 3 Root that were cutting and slashing at the Squid Man. But to no avail since he cannot die. Jones cut down 2 of them and shoved the other into the hole in the floor where the Kraken still stayed to have more tasty morsels. The captain then vanished as he passed through a damp wall after seeing his work was done. For now. Jiraiya. Let me go. I can't let that mummied warhick do this to Mikoto. Again. Kushina yelled as she was still in Jiraiya's grip. His other hand holding his jar of dirt since he saw some of the kraken's tentacles gliding towards him. His black spot was sensed by the beast, but it could not touch him while he held the piece of land. Sorry Kushina. But she made her choice. Jiraiya then starts to slowly walk back with Sasuke, Sakura, Menma, and Hinata following with him. Sasuke would have gotten to Itachi to claim his vengeance, but the Rogacha had turned into a bunch of crows earlier and was gone. Heading back to the Akatsuki base to report on this new development. You still want my help, Toad Sage. It seems you do not want my strength in your war. And I still hold the charts. Ryanami waves the charts in his other hand, while the Kubikirabacho is held sideways to guard against the three Rude. Give us the charts. And I will call off the Rude agents. Bartered Jiraiya, who was not really going to spare them since they knew too much and could jeopardize Konoha's security. Naruto remained still, not worried since the kraken would not harm him or his loved ones. The Root did not see some small tentacles creeping on the floor towards their feet. How about a counter-offer? Naruto proposed as the kraken grabbed the three Root and dragged them to their deaths with Naruto, Mikoto, Lian, and Park moving aside before reforming after the Root's disappearance. He then secretly pulls out a copy of the map that looks like the original, but only leads to World's End and not revealing any of its other secrets. You give me Kushina Uzumaki and I give you the charts. Jiraiya was stunned at Ryanami wanting Kushina. But Kushina's trade would secure Konoha's survival as Jiraiya and his group would take a vessel and sail to World's End and bring back the Hokage that were trapped in the sealed portion of the afterlife where those who died at sea and those taken by the Shinigami personally were kept. Jiraiya looked to Menma and gave him a look. Menma understood, though he did not want to do it. He'd rather have his mother not be a slave. Plus all the Uzumaki items kept at the Senju clan compound would become his. Jiraiya nodded his head to Ryanami and released Kushina to walk toward Mikoto and the others. Not noticing Menma's sudden Rasengan attack into her back after Ryanami tossed the charts to Jiraiya. Kushina was shocked that her boy would do this. Mikoto, holding her old friend as Kushina, turned to look at her son who stared blankly at her. Ryanami growled beneath his bandages at that low blow from his supposed twin brother. Menma, why? Kushina croaked. It's nothing personal, Ka-san. It's just good business. I can't fulfill my destiny as the child of prophecy when you withhold my birthright as the last Uzumaki and Namikaze heir. I will make Toussaint proud when I destroy Odo, Iwa, Kumo, and the Akatsuki. Menma proclaimed until he was struck in the chest by the appearance of a red blur. Jiraiya caught his student and saw an elaborate seal atop the Kyuubi seal. He looked to see the one Uzumaki he hoped to never see again after escaping his blade when he dismantled Uzushio's defenses when Jiraiya disguised himself during the attack of Uzushio. Arashi Uzumaki no longer looked like a cursed member of the Flying Dutchman. Think Kenshin Himura but without the cross scar on his cheek. Kushina was surprised at seeing her older brother. Here, alive. His swordfish arm now a samurai gauntlet with his signature red katana. You may make your father and godfather proud, nephew. But you shame the Uzumaki clan by attacking your own family. You shall never possess the secrets of our clan unless you repent and leave your sinking ship of a village, Dadabing. Ugh, still got it. Muttered Arashi at his verbal tick. Menma was fuming that his revealed uncle thought that he was unworthy to save the world. Never. He will prove him wrong once his father returns to the land of the living. Jiraiya throws a smoke bomb as their group escapes to take a boat and follow the map to World's End. Arashi put away his blade and picked up his sister who fell unconscious from the pain her Menma caused her. Ryanami led the group out of the bathhouse safely as the kraken returned to the deep waters and swam to the open ocean until Davy Jones would have need again. Scene CHANGE open sea on the Chimera. Kushina woke up in what appeared to be a sea captain's quarters. Her back feeling sore but bandaged along with her chest and bosom to cover her modesty. She got her clothes after reading a note from Arashi saying to meet him and Ryanami on the steering wheel. Also it mentioned that Arashi removed the hidden seals that Danzo was using to spy while she was in Hot Spring Country. The red-hot habanero was furious that Jiraiya, along with her son Menma, had left her to die. If Ryanami was sailing her to World's End, she would have a violent family reunion with Minato and the old monkey. Pushing those thoughts aside, Kushina went back to getting herself dressed. After getting ready, the door opened with Lian and Park Tsuchi walking in Kunoichi outfits with their weapons strapped to their backs and their hair out and tied on the tips. We are pleased for your recovery, Uzumaki Haim. Park said with the two bowing respectfully to Kushina. Thank you. Are you here to take me to your captain on deck? Asked Kushina. The two nodded their heads as they went up the stairs towards the Chimera's deck with Kushina following behind. She has so many questions that needed to be answered. How are Mikoto and Arashi still alive? And if they were alive, did that mean her son, Naruto, also survived as well? How long was I out for? She asked as she continued to follow them up the stairs. You have been unconscious for almost a day. We bandaged your wounds while your Uzumaki regenerative powers did their part. Captain Ryanami took his crew and destroyed the remaining route that were in hot springs before rejoining us in Arashi, who carried you to the ship. We are now meeting up with another Sea Lord, Lady Harrible, the captain of the Queen Anne's Revenge. After that, we sail after the Konoha fools to World's End. Yan explained to Kushina as they reached the double doors that led to the upper deck. When the twins opened the doors, Kushina was blinded by the light of the sun as she stared at the beautiful open sea that she had not seen since her time at Uzushio before it fell. Arashi was steering the ship with Ryanami looking through his telescope. When her brother saw Kushina, he smiled and let go of the wheel. "Hail, take the wheel," said Arashi as a tall Kuma-like man cried "Aye sir," and took the wheel and Kale from DreamWorks Sinbad along with the rest of the Chimera crew. Arashi was going to say something, but Kushina rushed to her brother and gave him a bear-strong hug. "I missed you so much, brother. I thought you died when Yuzu fell." I would have died by that slippery toad sage when he escaped after dismantling our defenses. But I got the lucky when I became a member of the Flying Dutchman's crew. It was years later that I was given a way out when Ryanami offered to bring Kisum to pay Piper. Arashi explains to his younger sister. "But why did Ryanami get you out of Davy Jones' service? Is he secretly in Uzumaki like us?" she asks. Hoping that Ryanami is a lost family member of the clan. "He's much more than that, Kushina-chan," says Mikoto as she went to give her old friend a hug after she finished her duties on board by checking the ship supplies and memorizing the real map with her Sharingan. Now sporting a black leather outfit with a sleeveless zipper vest over a white tank top, overhauled shorts with a long cape and her katana strapped to her left side, fingerless kunoichi gloves, and high-heeled black boots and think Tiffel Lockhart's outfit from 7 Francs. Advent Children. Naruto decides to reveal himself as he puts down his telescope and removes his bandage wrappings from his face to show his signature whisker marks. As soon as Kushina saw the face markings, she was stunned as she cupped her face and her eyes started tearing. Ryanami was her supposedly deceased son she was forced to abandon, Naruto Uzumaki. "I've wanted to meet you and get to know you for so long, Ka-chan. Arashi Oji has shared a few stories while he was training me to become the Sea Lord and secret Uzumaki heir. We have so much to talk about, but before we get to that, I want to hear something I have always wanted to know from you that Konoha would never give her share. Did you love me? And do you still love me, even without me harboring the Kyuubi and no longer a loyal leaf shinobi?" Naruto asked as everyone on deck was silent to hear Kushina's reply. The twin acrobatic crewmen, Jin and Lee, were quietly bidding on what may happen next. Kushina closed her eyes as she thought long and hard on what she would say to her child that lived a very lonely life at the beginning of his birth. It didn't take too long that Kushina rushed to give Naruto a big hug and kissing his forehead and whisker marks. Causing Naruto to blush since his whiskers were sensitive and everyone on deck knew it. Especially Mikoto, Lian, and Park, who took full advantage of that in their relationship with Naruto. "Know this, Naruto Uzumaki. I always loved you my son and I still do now. And I would have made certain that both you and Menma were always nurtured and protected against those that would hurt our family. For in Uzumaki always puts their family needs first. If only I could have been strong enough to fight Jiraiya's seal and overwritten it, I would have stormed my way back to Konoha, beat those civilians that were hurting you, and then beat Hiruzen Sarutobi, his council, and then take you far away from that village, to never see it again until they got their heads out of their rears. Which is rather unlikely since they still are chasing Uchiha fairy dust, and now my fallen son, the second coming of the Yellow Flash, Menma. It's sad that all that I had taught him was tossed aside for pervy sages' teachings and world-revolving prophecies. I promise that I will never leave you again, my Sachi. Just don't leave me like Menma and Minato did." Kushina hugged her son close, afraid that he will leave her alone with her now alive brother. The crew cheered in relief and celebration at the captain's reunion when Naruto returned the gesture and hugged his mom back while wiping the tears from her face carefully with his claws. The gesture causing Kushina to slightly blush with Mikoto, Arashi, and the Tsuchi twins seeing it. With Jin paying Lee several yen at losing the bet. Rat swung his way to get Captain Ryanami's attention which separated the two as it cleared both their heads. "Sorry for the intrusion, Captain and Senorita. But Queen Anne's revenge is coming on our starboard with several enemy ships firing behind her. Should we assist?" asked Rat as Naruto pulled out his telescope to see for himself. He sees Captain Tia and Tia Harrible from Bleach, a spot of form with a white captain hat to go with her face-covering jacket, riding on top of her sea beast companion, the Leviathana second sea monster from Ocean Hunter, as it is demolishing one enemy Iwa ship. The two other ships, which are from Kumo, are attacking the queen as she is trying desperately to escape while her captain fights the main force. Naruto sees the queen steer and Bonnie waving for help while Mary Read cuts down two Kumonin with her Cutlassan. Yes, I brought in the FGO rider servant as they are a part of the POTC Queen Anne's Revenge. Tia's other crew, her Amazon Frachian and several crew members from Water Country are fighting the rest of the shinobi that boarded Tia's ship. Naruto quickly goes into captain mode as he puts his scope away, puts his bandages back on, and brandishes Kubikirabacho to get his crew to attention. Men, our fellow Sea Lord and her crew appear to be in a pinch. Let's show these Iwa and Kumo shinobi that coming down from their mountain and clouds was a major mistake. The crew roars in agreement as the Chimera sails towards them and chaos ensues. Scene Chang hidden base in Rain Country. Are you certain of this, Itachi? Pain asks after Itachi returns to Akatsuki base and informs of Kisam's demise and Jiraiya's expedition with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki to Davy Jones' locker. Yes, I was able to slip away without drawing more attention to our organization. Says Itachi, since the Akatsuki are keeping it quiet on what they are doing with the Jinchuriki from their alliance with Orochimaru, Iwa, and Kumo. Zetsu, can you follow the Jiraiya and his squad? Asked Pain. Unfortunately, our abilities are focused on land. We would not be able to follow them out at sea. Said Zetsu. The return of the Yellow Flash and the first 3 Hokage will make it more difficult in retrieving the remaining Jinchuriki. Conan notes. Just because they are bringing them back to the world of the living doesn't mean they are immortal. Zetsu will watch the coastlines and inform us when they return to land while we get the hiding 8 tails. We will then ambush and send them back to the afterlife with some extra passengers while we claim the last Biju for ourselves. Madara, formerly known as Tobi, tells the rest of the Akatsuki. With Pain agreeing with him while Conan is slightly conflicted inside. Itachi will join the immortal brother to retrieve the 8 tails while we let Kumo and Iwa focus on their war with Konoha. Our weapon will be finished and all will know pain. Not even the Hokage of the past can stop us. Nagato directs them as the hideout dims back into darkness. Scene Chang near World's End. Jiraiya was cruising their commandeered ship across the still waters that perfectly reflected the night sky as he steered the ship to where the map led to where they need to be. Sasuke was in his quarters with a stern look plastered on his face. Sakura tried comforting him, but his mother's betrayal stunned him just as bad as Itachi killing his father and clan. Hinata was by herself near the front of the ship, trying to keep her distance from Menma. She thought that Menma would be her shining light, more than Naruto could ever be after he saved her from bullies and fought Neji for her during the Chunin exams. However, she now saw that Menma should never have been a replacement for Naruto. Even when the village celebrated Naruto's death, she did not but hope that becoming Menma's girlfriend will help bring closure to the boy she wished to have been by his side. How long do we continue not talking? Menma asked behind her. I can't believe you killed your own mother just so we could get the map towards rescuing your father and the other cage. I thought Uzumaki value family above all. Said Hinata, still not looking at Menma directly. It was for the greater good. I spared my mother from becoming a sex slave to that sea lord. You know how I need those scrolls my mother kept from me in order to help me be ready for our war. My father would understand her sacrifice. Menma defended his actions. Following Jiraiya's and Minato's example of putting the Leaf Village's survival first. Would you sacrifice me, yourself, or your own father if it meant Konoha remained standing? Or if you were to survive and become Hokage? Asked Hinata. Her Byakugan peering into Menma's soul. Menma stayed quiet while fighting the Kyuubi's taunts at being such a loser compared to his other hosts. Hinata did not like the silent answer from the Namikaze heir and walked past Menma to go below deck. Menma balled his fists as turned his sights to the sickening sea as fog covered their destination ahead. He hated how some of the Konoha residents, like the Konohamaru squad, the Ichirakus, and Lady Tsunade and Shizune, compared him to his worthless twin brother. He would outshine Naruto further by bringing the legendary Hokage back and making Hinata his wife for the Namikaze bloodline to be more renowned than the nearly extinct Uzumaki clan. He was brought out of his brewing when the fog lifted and he saw that the water started picking up speed and the sound of a waterfall. But there are no waterfalls in the oceans or seas. That's when Menma realized World's End literally meant the edge of the world before falling into the unknown. He turned to quickly warn Jiraiya-sensei of their predicament when he was blocked by that Tia Dalma woman that vanished months ago. For what we want Mastir as a cost must be paid in the end. She told him. Menma brushed her off as he ran to inform Jiraiya-sensei as they picked up speed as they neared the edge of the world. The goddess vanishing as her warning was given. Jiraiya-sensei. We must head back. What are you talking about, Menma? We are nearly there. Once we find my student Sensei Tsurutobi and convince the first and second Hokage, we will end this war sooner and destroy the Akatsuki before they use the Biju to force a peace across the elemental nations. Jiraiya was confused by Menma's outburst. But sensei, we are literally sailing to the end of the world. Once we fall into the abyss, we have no idea how to get back. Menma explains, pointing to the great falls that grew louder as they sailed closer. Jiraiya's eyes widen in shock as he did not expect to be going over a giant waterfall. He thought they would be sailing to a portal that can take them to and from the elemental nations and the afterlife. He quickly gets everyone on deck as he has Menma take the wheel as he and their hired crew try to turn the ship around. But it is already too late as they are caught in the currents and are now going over the edge. "Hold on," shouts Menma as he holds the steering wheel for his life, Jiraiya holding his jar of dirt and mast with Sasuke, Sakura, and Hinata doing the same as they all fall into the darkness of World's End. Not knowing when they'll reach the bottom as darkness overtakes them. Chapter 4. Menma woke up to the bright sun that was shining over him. He looked around to see that he was on some sort of beach where their ship was in pieces with the remaining Ruten dead and an unconscious Hinata, Sakura, and Sasuke near him. He wondered if they truly did fall over World's End and landed on some barren island of some sort. The Namikaze heir searched for his Toad Sage sensei among the wreckage after he woke the Uchiha up since Hinata and Sakura were starting to come around. Finding no sign of Jiraiya sensei from the wreckage, Menma looks to the distant sand dunes and spots the gallant Jiraiya. When he finally reached him, Menma was awestruck at what he and his sensei were seeing beyond the beach. The place they assumed was Davy Jones' locker was unlike any land they've ever seen. Not unlike the bountiful greenery of Mount Mayaboku nor the treacherous shifting desert lands of Wind Country. It was a flat plain of white salt that stretched far and wide as the eye could see. No plant life, no land formations or plateaus of any kind, just a huge plain of white that seemed to go on forever with some small mountain ranges in the distance that may be mirages. How would they be able to find Menma's father, Jiraiya sensei, or anyone without dying of hunger, thirst, fatigue, heatstroke, or all of the above? Sasuke and the rest of the surviving Konoha shinobi caught up to Menma and their mission leader as they too gazed in bewilderment at how empty land looked. No soul in sight. "This certainly is a kami-forsaken place," commented Sasuke. "How are we supposed to find the Hokage without being tricked by mirages?" asked Sakura. "Jiraiya-san, can we even leave this place once we find them?" asked Hinata, who was shaking in fear of dying in a place like this. "Of course we can. I just got to simply summon the toads and they'll reverse summon us back to the living world." Jiraiya tried to prove this by performing a summoning jutsu. Unfortunately, nothing happened. The group all then tried to perform any of their jutsu, but no chakra attacks could be performed. Sasuke was so angry that he showed a Sharingan that surprisingly still worked. When the rest of the group saw this, Hinata also came to the same result as her Byakugan was showing. It seems only certain bloodlines or Kekkei Genkai can work in the land of the dead. Hinata, can you see what might be blocking our chakra?" Sakura asked. When Hinata used her X-ray vision to see their chakra pathways, she was surprised to see that their chakra cores were filled with chakra, but it was not increasing or flowing in the other pathways except Sasuke's. However, as Sasuke continued to have his Sharingan on, his core was being depleted until it drained to nothing with no way to refill them. Hinata quickly turns off her Byakugan before shouting for Sasuke to do the same. "Turn off your Sharingan, Sasuke. Somehow this realm will not allow us to use our chakra, and for those of us with special bloodlines, we would be draining our cores to nothingness. So we should not force ourselves to use our chakra or we may sooner become a permanent resident of this place." Hinata's explanation made the others pale in fear at being stuck in this barren wasteland. Jiraiya looked at the wreckage of their boat and concluded that if they were to ever get out of here, they would have to cross the waters and hope and pray that they find some sort of exit that their map failed to mention. Only giving vague phrases about over the edge, flash of green, and up is down. With that, Jiraiya had Sakura and Hinata stay on the beach to find some supplies and try to build a makeshift raft, while Menma and Sasuke would join him in searching for the previous Hokage. The Kunoichi nodded in agreement as they ran back to the beach to begin working, while the men searched the barren white plains. Hopefully it wouldn't take them long. Scene change. Jiraiya, Sasuke, and Menma felt like they were wandering for hours. The sun was still up high, as if time never changed to torment the souls that wandered here or either let themselves be taken by whatever controlled this place. They were bare-chested as they used their shirts to cover their heads while they sweated and the heat of the locker's sun burned their backs. "We've been walking forever, sensei. Maybe we should head back," said Menma. This Uchiha will not retreat," Sasuke proclaimed. "Ugh, maybe I should have kept Hinata to try and find the Hokage instead of us wandering about. Unless you are willing to use your Sharingan to find something, Sasuke," Jiraiya suggested to the stubborn Uchiha. Sasuke was confident that he could find something with his Sharingan before his reserves ran out. But to be certain, Sasuke only had one Sharingan activated as it scanned the area. After searching for anything alive or partially with chakra, Sasuke found nothing. But then something caught his eye when turning to the left. His Sharingan picked up a small blip of 4 signatures that was slowly heading right towards them. He turned off his Sharingan before he risked himself of becoming trapped in this disgusting place, before he gets the chance to kill his brother and later his former mother. I spot something over there. It's coming our way. Sasuke pointed to the blurry region that slowly was starting to form a black shape. Jiraiya and Menma squinted their eyes to try and get a better look at it. As it came closer past the heat drafts of air, the black shape forms to be great black ship with black sails. Somehow it was moving across the white lands when there was no water in sight except the far-off beach. It was then the trio were stunned to see that the ship had wooden planks on the sides that acted like centipede legs as it crawled its way towards them. Menma, acting overly excited, ran towards the nearing ship to see if there was someone on board. Sasuke and Jiraiya following after him at having that same thought. Hoping that the Hokage were on board or perhaps knew how to find the other souls trapped in Davy Jones' locker. Ahoy! Ahoy there! Menma cried out as the ship was now a couple yards near them. The ship continued forward, did not look like it was stopping as Toad Sage and the two heirs moved to the side and watched as the ship was passing them by. Sasuke was irked that his elite status was being ignored. As the last loyal Uchiha of the Leaf, I command you to halt. Sasuke ordered to the animate ship. That got the ship to stop moving. The planking legs halted in their movement as the whole ship groaned ominously. Then a single human figure peeked over the railing of the boat. The man had dark tanned skin from being out in the sun sea for so long in his life. He wore various pirate clothing with leather boots, coat, and a black tricorn hat over a red headband with a braided bone trinket attached to the red bandana. This was the captain of the Black Pearl that fell back into the locker after the poor captain not wanting to die, and Jones got the double-crosser back for getting the Seal Lord killed once. The great and infamous Captain Jack Sparrow. Chiefa? What manner of chief commands me and my ship? Jack asked it, not understanding what Sasuke was saying. Before Sasuke could get angry at the filthy pirate, another voice came up on the ship's deck that sounded very familiar to Sasuke and Jiraiya. Pardon me, Captain. I believe the young man was referring to the ninja clan he's from, the Uchiha. I knew that. And don't think I didn't, Mr. Sarutobi. Jack told his crewmate that still wasn't seen. Sarutobi? Sensei. Jiraiya spoke up to get their attention. It was then the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, wearing his black cage attire like he did when he fought Orochimaru during the failed Suna Sound invasion, revealed himself to them. Jiraiya. Jiraiya. You and young Sasuke are a sight for sore eyes. And who is that young man there with you? The third Hokage asked, but had a pretty good idea who the child belonged to. Sensei, allow me to introduce to you the prodigy of Minato and my great new apprentice, Menma Namikaze. We came to get you and the cage out of your deal with the Shinigami by sailing to Davy Jones' locker. But who is this pirate captain? Jiraiya questioned. This is Jack Sparrow. Sarutobi introduced to them. Captain Jack Sparrow, Mr. Sarutobi. I will have to take away your drinking breaks to get you hurtling up on concluding the Pearl's filing. Said Jack as the third paled at having to be tortured and sorting through paperwork, even in the sealed portion of the afterlife. Captain Sparrow? Menma shouted. Aye. Are there anyone else aboard your vessel? If all the Hokage are there with you, we want to join your crew to get you back out to the open sea and escape the locker. Once out, our village will reward you for making it back to the world of the living. Menma proposed. Jack and the crew have been wandering the plains ever since Sarutobi showed up with the water and wood men. They were familiar with Jack's blonde first mate who helped keep Jack company when everyone else had wandered off and let the heat and madness take them. The woodman was especially helpful in getting the Black Pearl moving, so he was given the wheel as helmsman, while his brother became the quartermaster or the navigator. I may be persuaded for such a glamorous frivolity. But first, where do your allegiances lie? Jack tested to see if they were trustworthy. Menma and Sasuke were about to say to the Leaf, but Jiraiya spoke first to keep them in the captain's good graces. With the highest bidder. I've a ship. Jack pointed to them. That makes you the highest bidder. Sasuke played along with Jiraiya's fib. The fib fooled Jack. Good man. Weigh anchor, all hands prepare to make sail. The third lowered a rope ladder down to them as the three climbed aboard the Black Pearl. Once the three were on board, they were glad that luck was still on their side at finding the rest of the Hokage there. Hashirama, now using his leaf headband as a pirate eye patch to make him look more like a pirate, sweating at the helm as he did as the captain ordered and got the ship moving again. Habarama was at the crow's nest as he let his brother and Captain Sparrow know of the new wanderers and now had a clearer view to the sand dunes where the trio had walked from. Yet they still didn't see Minato since he was below deck. Captain, the way out is hard to starboard and full speed ahead. The second Hokage informed the former pirate lord. "Well done, Mr. Toby. Mr. Hashi, if you'd be so kind." "Aye, Captain. Hard to starboard and full canvas." The first Hokage announced enthusiastically as the ship leered to the right and then moved forward at a faster pace and now having a clear direction and hope at getting out of this barren wasteland. Menma went below deck to find his father, while Jiraiya discussed things with the first and third Hokage on the situation Konoha is facing in the upcoming Fourth Shinobi War. Sasuke simply sat on the bow of the ship, which was where the carved figure of a veiled winged woman holding a black dove. Menma couldn't find him, so he decided to check the captain's quarters. There he saw his father, Minato Namikaze, the Yellow Flash, doing some paperwork to help Captain Sparrow and Sarutobi's burden. He put down his pen when he looked up to see Menma after so many years. He recognized his sons anywhere, especially with Menma's non-facial markings like Naruto's. "You certainly have grown taller, Menma," commented the fourth. Menma ran into him and gave his father a big hug. Having dreamed of meeting his hero and idol after listening to Jiraiya's stories and short mentions from his mother Kushina. The heartache after losing Minato made the topic difficult for Kushina to bring up due to the seal she had on, as she simply did what she could in raising Menma. Menma was sad that he was forced to send his mom to the Pure Lands, but knew now he could finally gain the rest of the Uzumaki clan's secrets that will help him save Konoha and make him a great hero for his father to be proud of. He just had to make sure that Sasuke, Sakura and Hinata kept quiet on what happened to Kushina. Perhaps even letting Hinata be marooned here since their relationship has gone sour. Her secret that she'll take to her grave, Menma thought wickedly. Scene change. Naruto, the Tsuchi twins, Mikoto and Kushina were currently sailing on Queen Anne with Captain Tia and her crew inside the locker. After having allied in defeating the Iwa and Kumo forces, Naruto gave first mate Sinbad command of the Chimera. But not before giving his final captain's orders in having the Chimera gather the remaining Sea Lords to meet in Sea Country, where the Cage planned to have their Cage Summit meeting before kickstarting the Fourth Shinobi War. The twins, Mikoto and Kushina, wanted to stay beside Naruto as he planned on getting to Davy Jones' locker with Tia's help. Tia was a little against Naruto's plan, but he convinced her after giving her the Samehada and the shark summons. After Samehada bonded to the captain, she now had a new battle form to protect her body while wielding greater power over water with her right arm blade that Samehada turned into for the smooth sailor An. Think of Tia Haribal's previous form before she became an Espada. She returned to her more human form as she commanded Mary to use the cutlass of Blackbeard to take them and the ship down to locker. Only Queen Anne's Revenge, with the power of the cutlass, could dive down to the other side like the Flying Dutchman, but it took a great effort in making sure nobody was washed away by the currents. Thankfully they all made it as Naruto used the compass, the one that Jiraiya had lost until Calypso gave it to Naruto when he became captain of the Chimera, to direct them to the land of the locker where the traitors would be. Only the compass directed him towards something more precious than vengeance. Naruto could see the shore and the wreckage of the Leaf's borrowed ship. He was surprised to see Hinata alone gathering up some survived cargo and used the not fully broken shards of the boat to create a makeshift raft. He wondered if the Hyuga that seemed to have a crush on him in his early days was now no longer attached to his twin brother. Hinata saw the ship and started waving her hands to them. Desperate to come aboard and not be trapped in this land that Menma had abandoned her. After the Black Pearl had reached the waters and Sakura and Hinata were welcomed aboard, the Hyuga met the four Hokage and the captain of the Black Pearl. When Minato wished to get to know the supposed fiancé of Menma, Hinata retracted that statement. Revealing how she lost her love for him after realizing how shallow she was in trying to honor Naruto by being with Menma, who was terrible at letting his brother die by Jiraiya's hand and drilling a Rasengan into Kushina to keep her from being a Sea Lord slave, while Menma would pilfer the Uzumaki scrolls that Kushina and Lady Tsunade kept from them. Minato was distraught that his sensei and son had lied to him on what happened to his wife and second son. His anger boiling to the surface, Menma pushed Hinata overboard and then summoned some of the Kyuubi's chakra to bring a strong wind that pushed the pearl out into the sea. Hinata tried to swim to them, but then the souls of those that died at sea tried to drag her down when she neared where the shoreline ended and the deep blue opened, but she resisted and was forced to swim back to shore and watch as the pearl continued on without her. She cried for what felt like hours until she was determined to not die here. She was nearly done in finishing her makeshift raft after several hours when she spotted the Queen Anne's Revenge. "Wait, isn't that Hanami's daughter?" Mikoto asked as she saw the girl's striking resemblance to the Hyuga Princessan. It's interesting that Narutopedia never specifies on what Hinata and Hanabi's mom's real name is. "Aye, that is Hinata. But why isn't she with her dear Menma and the rest of those scalawags?" snorted Naruto. Having his face covered with bandages again to hide his whisker marks from the enemy until he makes his big reveal. "Naruto, go easy on her. After I was freed from Jiraiya's seal, I got to know everyone who still thought fondly of you in Konoha, including Hinata. She wanted to be close to Menma so she could have closure for you, since your death hurt her badly, since she was too shy to profess her feelings towards you. It seems she doesn't like Menma's darker self and tried to stand up to him. Only for Menma to maroon her here. How could my son, your brother, become so deplorable? Kushina still feeling the pain of betrayal. Wondering what she may have done wrong in raising him. Makoto comforted her longtime friend by holding her shoulder. You did nothing wrong, Kushina. You were not in control of most of your actions due to the machinations of that perverted toad and the scheming monkey. Their influence was stronger than yours that Menma now only believes everything he does is for the good of Konoha. To make himself a great hero like Tails the village spread of Minato's victory during the Third Shinobi War. Opting out how wars do not make one great an. Oda's words of wisdom in The Empire Strikes Back. After hearing Makoto's comforting words did Naruto feel awful at sorting Hinata with most of the fools in Konoha. But he wasn't ready to announce his return yet until he faces his godfather, brother, and father all together. She would have to prove to him that she would choose the right side and not betray him or his growing family crew. The ship neared the shore as she smoothly made port on the shoreline as Ryanami and his entourage took a lifeboat towards Hinata to get her and her leftover cargo while Tia and her Frachian watched from the main deck. Hello Hinata. Kushina greeted in a monotone voice once she and her hidden son got out of the boat and walked towards her while Makoto, Lian, and Park waited in the lifeboat. Kushina-sama, please forgive me. I thought Menma would be like Naruto-kun and I tried to help him open his eyes that he could be a protector, a hero like Naruto was to me. But he's becoming a monster. One bent on destroying Konoha's enemies and getting fame and glory like Sasuke Uchiha. I should not have been so shallow or shy to Naruto now that he's gone. Hinata bowed shamefully as she let the tears flow down her face. Kushina couldn't bear to see the daughter of her only Hyuga friend like this as she then embraced her in a warm motherly hug until she calmed down. What happened? She asked once Hinata finished releasing her pent-up emotions. Menma and the others are gone. They were sailing on a ship captained by Captain Jack Sparrow of the Black Pearl. With the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Hokage with them. The Black Pearl. Oh, Gigi Jones will not be happy to learn that his most hated and coveted prisoner is about to escape. Jack was from a time before the Sage of Six Paths, so he does not have chakra. Meaning Jack can't overpower them once they regain full access to their chakra. Thankfully, Davy Jones was able to remove Jack's memory of how to escape this place. And now the only ones who know how are Gigi Jones and me, since we got along pretty well to share our secrets. Unless they figure out the riddles of the duplicate map I gave them. Naruto informed the others. Not mentioning to his Kachan how he also had to give up his heart and lock it in the dead man's chest that is now guarded by Calypso's son Rahab. Hinata, are you willing to join us in stopping Jiraiya and Menma's plans and saving the leaf from major destruction? Kushina asked as Ryanami got Hinata's cargo and placed it on the large rowboat before walking back where the two Kunoichi were. Hinata turns to Ryanami before answering Kushina-sama. Ryanami-sama, I apologize for following my fellow shinobi that did not come to with honest intentions. If you permit me to join your crew, I am willing to pledge myself to you and bear any punishment that you see fit to give on this journey. I swear on my clan name and on my sincere feelings for the man I once loved before he died at sea. Naruto was surprised by Hinata's strength that he has not seen since she fought Niji in the Chunin exam preliminaries. She now had more of a backbone yet keeping her endearing humble outlook on herself and life that the Hyuga were mostly not known for. It seemed that she could be given another chance. His Nindo, that didn't fully die after Pervy Sage's betrayal, desiring to add her to his true precious people. Very well. We shall discuss your punishment once we have caught up to the Pearl. For now, you are under Kushina's jurisdiction and you must follow her authority to the letter. You also will follow my lead, is that clear? Naruto aimed a bit of killer intent at Hinata. Hinata shivered a little before nodding her in agreement before saying it out loud to cement herself to them. Naruto and the others returned on board the Queen Anne with a new ally. Tia could see that her mate was increasing his lover's circle. Which was fine to her since she, Makoto, Lian, and Park could testify of his engulfing maelstrom of stamina he trained for to become a powerful sea lord. Where are we headed now, Ryanami? Tia asked as they weighed anchor and prepared to set sail. Naruto pulls out the compass again as it now points out into the open water. We are going hunting, Tia-chan. And I'll be commandeering a new ship that will be my new flagship to further my reputation as the Sea Lord of Wave, Steam, and Whirlpool. What if Naruto was abandoned by Tsunade and Jiraiya? End here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.